Hello, Spiritual Center Spokane. My name is Reverend Bonnie. It is April 1st. Happy April Fool's Day. Boy, it feels like an April Fool's Day to me for sure. Tonight, I'm in my office. You can see I've got my Beatles gold record behind me, and the wall behind my desk is where I receive inspiration. So, my office is filled with inspiring mementos of success and fulfillment, and the Beatles represent that to me, and so they are behind me right now. So, how sweet is that? Anyway, welcome to Spiritual Center Spokane. Again, my name is Reverend Bonnie. Today's April Fool's Day. Happy April Fool's Day. I loved April Fool's Day as a kid. I used to just love telling a lie and then going, ha ha ha, April Fool's Day. And of course, as a kid, it's things like, your hair is green, and really goofy little stuff that makes no matter and yet is fun. So, um, your, nose is falling off. Happy April Fool's Day. All right, there we go. There's my five-year-old fun. Welcome again and blessings. So, I wanna talk about a couple things tonight. One is what to do when or what I do when I get out of balance energetically. And yesterday, I had one of those days. The day just couldn't end soon enough for me. And I think it's kind of fun to hear about how people show up day in and day out with their lives and what that looks like when things are going different than planned and that there's a wrench thrown into things. So, yesterday was my big travel day. I left the Dog City job down in Phoenix, Arizona, and returned to Spokane. And my flight was supposed to leave at 11:30, and I had a friend coming and picking me up at 8 a.m. so that we could have breakfast together, and then I could be dropped off at the airport. And my friend did show up and was absolutely beyond cranky, was just in a foul mood, was tired, hadn't slept well, and, was not disoriented, that's but, not grounded, not centered, and, eh, started squabbling, just like you could tell it was one of those irritating days for this individual and just, yappy, yappy, yappy. And so we did not do breakfast, we ran errands instead, and then I got to the airport really early. And I found a sweet place in Sky Harbor Airport, which is a beautiful airport, where I was able to sit and to work, and I found that satisfying and fun, and then it was time to go run to the plane, and I got on the plane, sat down, and just before takeoff, the pilot announces that there is a light bulb that needs to be changed on the plane, and it's one that's important when flying at night, even though we weren't flying at night, and it was necessary that they change it, and it would only take a few minutes, so just hold on, guys. So, I sat along with the entire full plane for a good half hour, 45 minutes before he came back on and said, "It's fixed. All we have to do is paperwork, and then we're taking off." Now, the I had a friend on the other end who was gonna pick me up, and I had a hair appointment, and I had not seen a hairdresser for over 10 weeks, and if I missed this appointment, it would end up being potentially another 3 to 4 weeks, as she only works on Mondays and Tuesdays. So, I knew this was important to me to get home in time for that. So, I had allowed ample, ample, ample time and could not see it being an issue. Another interesting thing I did is I had gone to a farmer's market with a dear friend of mine, the one whose house I was, sitting and dogs who I was sitting, and there was a dairy that was there that made dairy products from scratch without any additive stuff in it. And they had a homemade churned butter. And I said to the guys, "Oh my gosh, I don't live here. If I lived here, I would buy some of your butter." And they said, "Well, you can freeze it and take it on the plane." So I froze this big block of butter and put it in my suitcase. So here we are on the tarmac. I've got a friend on the other end who's waiting to pick me up. I've got the butter in the suitcase and I've got the hair to be done. Okay. So I'm waiting and they come on to say it's now time we need to do paperwork, and paperwork can take longer than even screwing in the light bulb. So we waited, and then the pilot came back on. He goes, "All right, guys, now it's been about an hour, 15 minutes that we've been sitting in the plane, and I'm surrounded by crying babies. The babies weren't having this." And so the pilot gets back on and he says, "Okay, they found one more thing, and this is a small thing also, won't take long at all. Thank you for your patience. We'll get in the air soon." So we all sit around and we wait, and then 2 hours into the wait, we're told, "Well, now we gotta do paperwork again, and then we're on the way." So about 2 hours and 20 minutes into this, the pilot gets back on and says, "Paperwork is done. Things are looking good. We're gonna leave in 15 to 20 minutes, just waiting for clearance." 15 to 20 minutes pass, and I go back to use the restroom, and I watch the stewardess pick up the phone and talk to the cockpit, and then when she got off, I said, "Is there anything that you know that I don't know?" And she said, "No." She goes, "We actually have no clue what's going on, and we don't know what's gonna happen." So now I'm into this gig for 3 hours. In the meantime, my friend who's supposed to pick me up can't because she has a dinner date. I have to cancel my hair appointment to this morning. Today, I had a, lovely breakfast date with my friend Sherry that I had to cancel, and I ended up saying to the stewardess, "A friend is flying in tomorrow, and would you recommend that I stick with this flight now, or should I leave and make sure I get a flight back tomorrow?" And she said, "Well, if I was in your shoes, I would leave." And I go, "Perfect, thank you." Grab all my stuff, get off the plane, and ended up, now mind you, I was dropped off at the airport at about 8:39. Got picked up from the airport at 3:30 without having taken a flight. So, my crabby friend came and picked me up, still crabby. And then there was rush hour traffic, and then it was just thing after thing after thing. Now, my luggage went on without me, and remember, my luggage has got butter in it. Note to self, don't do that again. But my luggage goes on with the butter, and so I end up getting a hold of my daughter who will go pick my luggage up at night. But so I'm down without toothbrush, toothpaste, supplements, makeup, I mean, without anything, except the clothes I'm wearing, which I will then end up washing to wear today. So it was a hard and rough and frustrating day. I ended up staying the night at a friend's house and then getting on the plane today. So it's been, oh, and then my hairdresser, God bless her, was willing to make space for me this afternoon. So I rushed from the airport where they had, um, lost my friend's luggage, and so it will be delivered tomorrow, and rushed to my doctor's appointment, and after my doctor's appointment, rushed to get my hair done, and just came back in time to be able to do this talk with you. So, I yesterday was frazzled, stressed, and it just felt like something that should have been easy was hard. And I know we all have days like that and days that seem to not end. It just seems that you can't catch a break, or no matter what happens, the next thing is crazy, not it's news you wouldn't want. So, I had to ask myself what I was gonna do to get back to center. And I always will close my eyes for a few minutes and breathe deep, or I'll go into the restroom like I did in the airplane and sit and breathe deep. And I remind myself that everything always works for my highest good, and I don't know why. So I don't know if we had gone at the time that we were scheduled to go on our flight, I don't know that there wouldn't have been a plane accident, or that someone on the plane had to stay back for purposes of self-care or caring for somebody who, needed it. I just don't know what happens behind the scenes in the universe. But what I do know is it's always for my highest good. And it's difficult sometimes to remember that or to live from it, but that is the spiritual opportunity, is to live from the capital T truth of what is indeed going on. So, what I did yesterday after, finally getting to my friend's house, after errands and all kinds of stuff. So by the time I actually got back to my friend's house, it was about 7 o'clock at night. So I'd been gone 11 hours, and I was sweaty and I was hot. I had no makeup. My clothes were feeling really icky because I was wearing warm clothes to end up here in Spokane. And so I get to my friend's house, who says, if I were you, I think I would do your recording tonight just in case things don't work out for you tomorrow, and then you can pre-record. So I said, okay, I'll pre-record. Now, my friend has a whole slew of roommates. And so I was recording in her bedroom where the roommates were next door, and you could hear them speak, and my friend, who was so tired, said, "I'm just gonna lay down and rest on the bed while you do this," and I said, "Please don't snore." So what ended up happening was yesterday I did a pre-record, and you could actually watch my face from being beat red, and my body posture from just being tight and tense, and you could watch as we did the spiritual practice that my shoulders came down, and that I was far less stressed, and that things were good. What, of course, happened was that as I was recording last night, I was having to talk loud over roommates, and then my friend laid down, fell asleep, and snored really loud. And so, just as I say that when we do our spiritual work, that we allow what could be a distraction to instead be a way of letting us go deeper, that was a practice that happened last night. And so, with the loud snoring, I played this beautiful meditation music so that we wouldn't hear it and it didn't take on the computer. So, the good news is we're here live, but what I did, any opportunity I got, were a few things, and I wanted to share that. One was the going into the bathroom, closing my eyes, being alone internally, and just talking to myself from compassionate love and meditating. The second thing is deep breaths. So as we are stressed out or anxious, then we breathe shallow from the upper part of our body, and we're not getting our whole system involved. So the other opportunity is to do some deep breathing from the belly upward and down, upward and down. So I did that yesterday as well. When those two things don't work, as far as bringing myself back to center and remembering who I am, then I love sacred readings. And my friend Sherry had given me this magazine, Lion's Roar. And Lion's Roar is a Buddhist magazine. And I sat and I read from this Buddhist magazine the four basic things that this magazine believes are true. And all religions believe these are true. And this is what I talk about, but this is in more kind of non-religious language and more spiritual language. So these are the 4 things they said, and I got to just breathe into it, and I read it over and over and over again. These are the 4 things that they believe to be true. These are the 4 things that I know are true. The first is, we and the world we experience are naturally good. We and the world that we experience are naturally good. So repeat that after me. We and the world we experience are naturally good. Oh, doesn't that just feel good? We and the world we experience are naturally good. This number 1 goes on to say, our mind is naturally aware. And I love that. Our mind is naturally aware. It doesn't mean that we're aware, it means that its set point is awareness. So we lean into it and we do our practice to come from there. But repeat after me, our mind is naturally aware. My mind is naturally aware. Then the next is, our heart is loving. Our world is vivid and joyful. So let's say this together. We and the world we experience are naturally good. Our mind is naturally aware. Our heart is loving. Our world is vivid and joyful. And I love that word vivid, it's so alive. We don't need to change or improve ourselves. We just need to be who we really are. And that is the basis for spirituality, that who you are and who I am is the divine presence itself in physical body. That there's one substance in this universe, and that substance is spirit, God, presence, whatever word, a unified field, whatever word that we want to give it, the ultimate, the one, that is all that any and everything is made up of. Einstein called it energy. We can call it all kinds of words, but the essence is that each and every one of us is made of God stuff, is made of eternity, and we take form in the temporal. So each one of us is the Blessed Mother, Mary. Each one of us is the beautiful God presence. Each one of us is that. And that's who we naturally are if we allow ourselves to lean into it, if we allow ourselves to know it, if we become aware of it and we live from it. So, as their number 1 tenet says, we and the world we experience are naturally good. And if that one sentence is what we practice knowing our entire life on this planet, we would be in a different space in consciousness. What a beautiful thing. The second tenet then is to what this Buddhist magazine believes is we can understand the temporary problems. Oh, that was good for me yesterday. We can understand the temporary problems, the confusion, distraction, and mistakes that separate us from our natural goodness and cause great misery for ourselves and others. So, for me to reframe that, what it is saying is that we are the wholeness, we are the one, we are the good stuff. And then when we perceive things to be problems, we kick ourselves out of the consciousness of heaven. We leave goodness. We leave the good when we believe there's a problem. And they called problems confusion, distraction, and mistakes. And then when we ride the energy of problem, then what ends up happening is we have kicked ourselves out of heaven. We are no longer in the place of oneness, wholeness, goodness. We are now in a divided state of consciousness. So when we aren't aware of the goodness and we operate from the mindset of problem, then division happens. And we're seeing that all around the country, that as there's a problem and blaming and all of that kind of energy, what it turns into is camps, and what it turns into is winners and losers, and it turns into division. And so what we're being reminded of is that we're naturally good, and the things that we call problems can be looked at as problems, but from a mature spirituality is seen as a way of evolving the soul. That our souls get to evolve because there's some kind of a disturbance that comes up, and we meet it and allow ourselves to grow beyond it. And in that growth, we solve what we think is a problem. And more importantly, our soul gets to grow and expand. So, a problem, what is that Chinese character? A problem is like a problem or an opportunity. That's the same thing that I'm saying, is that in our consciousness, we could look at something and label it, or we can connect with it and evolve through it and with it. So I almost think we need a different word than problem when we are in the process of creating and generating, because it is the perceived lack of sufficiency that says, okay, we don't have enough X, Y, and Z. Now, what can we use instead of that? It's that solutions come because we feel small and then we break through. And that's how great revelations on our planet have happened. So problem seems like a word that makes right and wrong, and it would be great to be able to see it instead from the consciousness of when we come out of this, there's gonna be more abundance, more love, more understanding, more unification. So there's a different way of holding and looking at that. The third thing they say is that we have the power by working with our minds, our hearts, and our lives to realize the natural goodness and lead the happy, meaningful, and beneficial lives that we want. Because obstacles can be cleared away and our natural goodness is always present, the journey is doable and the goal is reachable. And that reminds me of a line that Dr. Ernest Holmes talks about in What We Believe statement, that he says that that our, and I'm paraphrasing, that our journey is one of entering into heaven consciousness, and it is a goal that will be achieved and reached by all. So nobody's left behind on this gig. Then number 4, there are many effective paths and methods to cultivate our natural goodness and to manifest it in our lives. The basic path that Lions Roar, and that's this magazine, offers is one of meditation, insight, ethical living, and compassion. So those are the 4 ways of their basic path: meditation, insight, ethical living, and compassion. So I read that, I contemplated it, I sat with it, and I was able to remember the goodness not only within me, but within the day. And I watched how much stress I generated in my body when I thought that I had to be home to get the ride from my friend. And then I realized how much stress I created in my body when I felt a need to have to be home in order to get a haircut done. So when I was living with the expectation of meeting a time frame, and couldn't and had no control over it or influence upon it, then I felt stressed out because it was like my want and desire against what is were in conflict with each other. And so, Byron Katie wrote a book called Loving What Is. And I've talked a lot about my path this last several months where I'm practicing loving the emotional state and self of me through everything that I go through. So so my personality is shepherded by divine presence through my journey regardless of what happens. So I noticed as soon as I was willing to drop and let go of the need to be home at a certain time, the need to have things unfold in a certain way, then I was able to breathe more deeply, remember the goodness, and that was really powerful for me. Very powerful. And then the other thing I wanted to share, and I wrote about this, is in the blog this week, is this trip that I took to Phoenix. It seems like all of my trips end up having themes or having a thread, and this one was an awareness of how deeply I love my friends, how much I value friendship and relationship, how integral friendships are within my life, how important and valuable that they are, and how essential they are for me being me and for them being them. And one of the evenings, I met my former next door neighbor who is a retired Catholic priest, and we met over dinner, and we had the richest, richest talk about spirituality and the soul. And we left 2 hours later from the time we arrived and just could not believe so much time had passed when it just seemed we got started together again. It was so beautiful. And he's doing some temporary, um, preaching at a Christian church, not a Catholic church, a Christian church in the Scottsdale area. And he also teaches at one of the colleges. He teaches ethics. And he was sharing how he describes spirituality. And I thought his description was beautiful. He said, each and every one of us is born with a spirit, and that spirituality, and he teaches nurses in this ethics class. So he tells them that that each person is born with the spirit, and it is essential in the healing arts that individuals show up and recognize the spirit. Spiritual living is the recognition of spirit in self and other. And I just thought that was such a beautiful definition of spirituality. And so he's teaching these nurses that when they are with a patient, that patients heal more quickly when their spirit is engaged and not solely their body temples. And all research shows that, and it's very true. And I just say life is so much more satisfying when others are able to see our spirits, to commune with them, and to have soulful connection. So that was absolutely a lovely togetherness piece. I would love to hear about what friendships mean to you and how friendships nourish and nurture you, and anything you want to share about friendships down below here in our little notes. I find it absolutely essential to have connection on this life path that we have. Even monks and mystics and people who are cave dwellers tend to have some form of connection with others, and our world becomes bigger that way. Our lives become richer that way. It's community is essential. Speaking of the Buddhist way, that's one of the processes on their path, is that Buddhist monks become part of a sangha, and a sangha is a spiritual community that exists with the intent of holding consciousness for each other. So, what a fun idea to go about in the world and to see the spirit and the soul in people and to love that part of them. And what a great practice and a rewarding one for sure. So that's my talk for today. I love you and I'm so glad that you're here, and we're going to go into meditation together. And before we do, what I'm going to invite us to do today is to feel our feet on the ground, and then we're going to do some ohms. So let's just close our eyes. And let's feel our precious God given feet on the ground. And let's do some ohming together. Om. Om. And now, what I'd like us to practice is breathing in from our field. So go out about 6 feet, in from our field. Imagine that the field is breathing us. Come in from the field. Inhale. Exhale. Come back in from the field. Inhale. Exhale. Now, what we're going to do is spend some moments in silence. And as we breathe, I'd like you to breathe with the imagining that you're coming in from about 6 feet out around your body temple, all the way from the top of your head to underneath your feet. And we're going to breathe in from the field, bring it all the way into the center of our body, and then breathe out, back out to the 6 feet. That feels so good. So out from 6 feet or so out from around the body, all the way into the center and then back out. Oh, that feels so good. And this time, as we bring in, let's imagine we're bringing in light, love, high vibration into our body temples. And then when we exhale the light, the love, the high vibration, along with any thoughts, emotions, perceptions that are in any way limiting. And let's do some more oming together, and then we'll return to the same form of breath. And let's go back to placing our attention on the wide edges of our field and taking an inward breath and then breathing out. And just notice how your body feels different than when we started tonight with the talk. Just notice. And I love the reading tonight that there's nothing we need to fix or change or improve. that it's all about revealing our true self. So let's just take a moment and feel into the energy of true self. And let's do a few more ohms. And notice if you could feel the energy in and around your body temple. And let's do a few affirmations together. Repeat after me. I am whole. I am inspirited. The Spirit dwells within me. My mind is alert. My heart is potent, and my life is satisfying. Everything works together for my highest good and for the good of all involved. God knows what it's doing. I am grateful for my friendships. I'm grateful to live in and to be aware of love. And so I would like you to start kind of moving your body a little bit and just start feeling yourself coming back into this present moment. Opening your eyes, being embodied, embodied. And boy, that feels so good to enter into a space of no time, of no space, where we are in consciousness, and it is that practice that allows us to be able to become more awake, to see more clearly, to know. It develops our intuition, it opens our heart. There's so much good that comes from meditating. And as I teach my students, I say to always make sure that you start with your feet grounded, that you are grounded, because we are electrical beings, and all electrical activity needs to be grounded so that we don't blow any part of our circuitry out. We are developing a circuitry for spirit to work through us. And in that development, it requires the meditation time, the practice of awareness, the opening the heart, all of the activities that we do to develop our ability to receive that divine presence that is already within us is all the more better and safer when we are grounded. So we feel our feet on the ground, we open ourselves up, and then we come back home. So, as always, I enjoyed spending the evening with you tonight. And if you are not receiving the newsletter and you would like to, please go to spiritualcenterspokane.org, and there's a place for you to sign up for the newsletter. There's also a free book club on there. It's David Brooks' book, How to Know a Person, and it's all about how to be in relationship and to relate. And it has a section on difficult conversations. It has a section on how to show up for others when it's hard to show up for them. It has, holding space. It's just a brilliant book. It's well written, and I chose it because we have an epidemic of loneliness in our country, and I would like our center to be a part of ending that by teaching some of the skills that allow us to be able to be divine presence and connect. So that's our first book club, and how it works is that the materials are there for you to download and to choose a group of people you wanna work with, and have a friend that you do it with or a group that you do it with come together and do the series, and then, of course, provide feedback because it's, invaluable. The more information that we get fed back, the more potent it is. I will also be starting a class in May on affirmative prayer, and if you've taken this class with me before, you know how powerful it is, and if you haven't taken it, affirmative prayer is a process of learning to pray from truth. So it's about aligning, it's about self-alignment with the divine. It isn't about, um beseeching or old styled prayer that we grew up with. This is a real contemplative process, and it's a birthing or an opening process that's really quite beautiful. And that starts in May. That information is also on the website spiritualcenterspokane.org. I've had people take that class that say that it could be marketed as the answer to any question, desire, challenge that you have. Affirmative prayer can be that answer. So combined with meditation, it's really lovely. So that's it for April Fool's Day. And so I send a big shout out to you. Thank you so much. If you're enjoying this, please do make a note. Also, subscribe. We are working towards getting 1,000 subscriptions as part of our goal and intention. If you believe you have a friend that would enjoy this and benefit from it, please do pass it along. And other than that, I send you just the most amazing love from my heart to yours. Love and blessings, and have a terrific week. I'll see you next Tuesday.